When Apple released the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 17, they quietly added a brand new button to the right side of our phones. It's called the camera button, and it is a complete game changer. But the problem is, most people don't know that it's there or don't know how to use it properly. Would you like to learn how to use it properly? Stick around. I got you covered. I'm Dylan Stewart, the MacWhisperer, and in today's video we're going to learn how to use the brand new camera button that was added to the iPhone 16 and iPhone 17 series of phones. This button is so powerful because it allows you to quickly take pictures, record video, or even adjust your camera settings without touching the screen. Trust me, it's big. Make sure to stick around for my MacWhisperer power tip because as good as the camera button is, this power tip is going to elevate it to the next level. The brand new camera button is an amazing tool, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But if you'd like to follow along with today's lesson, scan this QR code right here, or jump over to the descriptions where you can download your free Smart Guide. Our Smart Guides are clear, easy to understand documents that walk you visually through everything we're going to learn today. Let's hop in and get started. You might be surprised to hear it, but photography didn't start with the iPhone. Back in the day, we used to have these funny little devices that we called cameras. And cameras were standalone devices that you could use to take pictures. Yep, that's right. Before iPhones and digital photography, we all used cameras. And when we used cameras, we would press physical buttons on the camera. We would turn our exposure with this little knob here, or we'd click this button to take a picture, or we'd use this little knob here to zoom in or zoom out, or we'd adjust the lens. The nice thing about having physical buttons is that you don't need to look at them to see what they do. I can be blindfolded and feel that shutter button and be able to take a picture. But with digital photography, and specifically smartphone photography, we've lost all of those physical buttons, meaning that everything you do requires you to touch the screen and click on things, which is fine, except that most people don't realize when you touch the screen, you have a nasty tendency to bump it and shake the photo. So people are always taking these slightly blurry pictures without actually realizing why. Even when you take a selfie, it can be really hard to put your finger on the right place to click that shutter button. But if we had a physical button that we could click, it would make everything easier. You might know that you can take pictures with your iPhone using the volume up button on the left side of your phone. And we've been able to do this for a long time. But the problem is you can't use that button to open the camera up. And one of the most complicated things about taking a photo with your phone is getting to the camera before you miss the opportunity. Before the camera button, there were a lot of ways to get your camera open on your phone, but they all took multiple steps. Here's one of the ways we can do it. Right from our lock screen, we can press and hold on the camera icon in the lower right-hand corner, like this, to open the camera up. Which is fine, but you have to be looking at the screen, and you have to press on the camera button kind of hard in order to make it work. You can also get to your camera by coming to the lock screen and swiping from the right to the left like this. That opens the camera up. It's easier than pressing the camera button on the lock screen, but it's also imperfect and you have to look at the screen in order to do it. Maybe you're already inside of your phone. Then you can click on the camera icon on your home screen like this to open up the camera. But what happens if you're on a different page? You've got to hunt around and find that camera? That's a bore. You can also get to the camera from your control panel by pulling down from the upper right-hand corner like this and clicking right on the camera icon there. But as good as that is, it still requires me to physically look at the phone screen. With the camera button, all you need to do is click the button. And because it's a physical button, it's easy for you to not just see, but feel. As you run your finger down the right side of your phone, you'll find that little recessed area, and then without even looking at it, you can launch your camera in a heartbeat. Which means it's never been easier to go from a phone in your pocket to a photograph taken without missing the moment. In order to master the camera button, we're going to need to learn 3 separate gestures. They're all simple gestures, but they perform different actions. The first gesture is a simple click. Clicking on the camera button will open up your camera app. Once you're in the camera app, clicking on the camera button will take the picture. So the first gesture is a simple click, and it's easy to do. The second gesture is the click and hold. To do this, you're going to press that button and you're going to keep pressing it. There's 2 different reasons why you would do this. The first reason to use the click and hold is to access what's called visual intelligence, which is a way you can connect your phone to Google or ChatGPT to use the camera lens to find out information. It works like this. Pressing and holding on that camera button launches visual intelligence, and down at the bottom it gives you the ability to ask ChatGPT about what the camera is looking at, or to search Google, eBay, Pinterest, or other websites to find images like what you're looking for. This is a super valuable tool, and we'll talk a lot about it in the power tip. But there's another reason why you might want to use the press and hold gesture. To explain that, let me get into the camera app by clicking the camera button first. Now that I'm in the camera app, if I press and hold instead of clicking, I'll shoot a video. That means you're 2 quick clicks away from opening up your camera and shooting a video at any moment. That's great for your daughter's recital or for your son's baseball game. Don't miss their big moment because you were fighting to figure out where the camera was and how to turn on video. 1 click gets you into the camera. Pressing and holding starts the video, just like that. And the third gesture that we're going to talk about is applicable when you're inside of the camera app. And this gesture is called the touch or double touch. And the difference between a touch and a click is how much pressure you put onto the button. You see, this button is not a normal button. It's a touch-sensitive button, and a light touch versus a harder touch performs different actions. So when I'm inside of the camera app, if I give it a light touch, it opens up a control that can allow me to zoom in or out without touching the screen. And if I double touch, like this, it opens up other tools like the ability to change the style of the photo, to change the exposure, to change the focus or depth, or even to change to different cameras, which means that you can shift from your standard camera to your selfie camera without even looking at the phone, making it easy for you to snap a picture of yourself or a picture of someone else without fussing with that little shutter button and shaking your phone every time you take a picture. The touch and double touch is very valuable, and we'll talk about it more in a few minutes. Now that we know all the gestures we'll need to use the camera button efficiently, let's step into the Settings app and tweak a couple of the camera button settings. To do that, come right into Settings here, scroll down until you find Camera, and then from Camera, click where you see the Camera Control option at the top. This is going to give you a ton of options and ways that you can make the camera button work differently. To start with, maybe you don't like the native Apple camera and you'd rather use a third-party app like Camera Plus that you see right here. Or maybe you want to take pictures and send them to Claude. Or maybe you're a huge fan of Instagram and you want to open up Instagram every time you press that camera button. This setting here will allow you to choose what happens and what app launches when you click that button. Be aware that some of the other functions of the camera button won't work with third-party apps or other applications. They're really made for the Apple camera. But if you don't like the Apple camera, feel free to change your settings here and use any camera or third-party app with the camera button. Down below that, we see an option that says single click versus double click. A lot of people are accidentally clicking this camera button. They've gotten used to holding their phone in a way where their thumb or their fingers are sitting on the camera button, so they're accidentally launching the camera all the time. Many of these people have deactivated the camera button to prevent that from happening, but they don't need to do that. If you change from single click to double click, you won't accidentally click it at all. In addition to those options, if we come down a little bit, we'll get to the section that talks about camera adjustment. This has to do with that touch or double touch we talked about a moment ago. By clicking on the Customize button here, you'll see a ton of different tools that you can use to adjust your photography. And you can turn any of them on or off. For example, if you're not using style, just deactivate it. But if you're using the depth function of your portrait photos all the time, move that up in the list. You're in control over what camera adjustments you have set up here, and you can turn them on or off and move them into any order that works for you. There's a ton of great tools here, but for me, I rarely adjust the tone, the styles, or the exposure. So I tend to leave it on cameras, depth, and zoom. But you do it any way that works for you. And right below there, we have an option for visual intelligence. By leaving the press and hold turned on, you can access visual intelligence from anywhere by simply pressing and holding that camera button. And I recommend leaving that setting on as well. Down at the bottom, we've got the accessibility section. You can come in here to adjust how hard or light you need to click, press, or touch the button in order to perform different actions. If you're finding that you're accidentally clicking the button all the time, consider making it a firmer click in order to function. But if you can't seem to get it to work most of the time, consider a lighter click to make it easier. And down below here, you've also got options for the light press speed and the double click speed that can make it easier for you to perform actions with the camera button. Notice that Apple put an image of the camera button right on the screen here, and they didn't do that by accident. They did that so that when you press the actual camera button on the side of your phone, you can figure out how hard or light you need to press it. If I change this to firmer, I have to push harder to make it light up like this. If I put it on lighter, as soon as I touch it, it lights up. This allows you to fine-tune the camera button so it works perfectly for you every single time. So with these camera settings set up properly, we're ready to start exploring the camera button. So now we know the gestures, and we've edited our settings to make the camera button work perfectly. Now let's play around with it and see how to really make the most out of it. To start with, my phone is locked, but there's a great picture ready. I'm going to click the camera button just like that. And immediately I'm in the camera app and ready to take that amazing picture of my new grandchild. But we're not quite done. Remember that a light touch will open up our settings tool to whatever tool we used last. Let's light touch here and we'll see that we're on the camera setting. This can allow me to change to a different camera lens by swiping up and down on the button. It's important to know that the camera button is not the normal button. It's a touch-sensitive button. So if you move your finger up and down on it, it acts like you're moving your finger up and down on the screen. So I can press this button and then slide up or down to adjust that camera. But when I double touch the camera button, it opens up the entire menu of tools that I have at my disposal, allowing me to change the camera lens, the depth, the zoom, the styles, the exposure, or the tone. Let's play around a little bit with adjusting the zoom with the camera button. I'm going to lightly touch the zoom option to activate it, and now when I lightly touch that button, you're going to notice this little scale that allows me to zoom in or out super easily, and I don't have to touch the screen or adjust it in any way. That double touch will open up your menu and allow you to select the zoom and zoom in or out on that image super simply. Then you can double touch it again to bring up the menu, change cameras, touching to activate it, and change from your 1x lens to your 2x lens to your 4x lens, or anything that you want to do, including swiping up for your little selfie pic while you're taking pictures. Another double touch on that camera button and I can change the focus depth, or I can change the styles. Styles are really cool. They give you an easy way to change the way your image looks by adding a filter that makes it more yellow, more red, more blue, more green. There's tons of built-in styles and you can adjust them at will or change them anytime you want without even touching the screen. A double touch on the camera button and we get back to our tools, or I can come back to the cameras or the depth, or I can even come into the exposure. A single touch activates it, and now I can easily make that image darker by swiping down or lighter by swiping up, just like I could do on an old school standard camera. This gives me so much more functionality and adds so many fantastic tools to my camera toolbox and doesn't require me to squint at my phone in order to hit that little white circle to take a picture. The camera button makes taking pictures easier, and it adds a bunch of tools to my camera tool bag so that I can always capture the right picture perfectly. A simple touch and I can change from one lens to the other. A double touch and I can change my zoom to focus in or focus out. A simple click and I can take the picture, and a press and hold and I can immediately shoot a video without having to touch the screen of the phone at all. Clearly, the camera button adds a ton of new tools and makes it so much easier to take pictures, take videos, or adjust your picture without having to touch the screen. But there's just one more thing I want to talk about. Before I drop my MacWhisperer power tip, if you've already gotten great value from today's video, give it a thumbs up. That makes it easier for other people to find it. And if you've got a question, a comment, or you'd like to tell me an innovative way that you're using the camera button, drop that into the comments section. I love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, well, that's unfortunate for you. Technology changes quickly, and Apple adds new tools, new features, new functions, and even new buttons all the time. Without subscribing to this channel, you might never learn about those new features, tools, or buttons. So don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and that notify bell so that you'll always be alerted whenever I drop new content. And with that being said, let's take a quick snapshot and jump into the power tip. I love this new camera button, and I am using it all the time. Recently, I went on 2 back-to-back trips, one to Burning Man and one to visit my daughter and my new granddaughter in North Carolina. I took thousands of pictures on each of those vacations. But you know what was new? I never clicked the camera app. I always went in through the camera button. It made it easier, it made it faster, I took better pictures, and I didn't miss anything. So that camera button is going to change how you take pictures if you embrace it. But there's a second amazing function enabled through that camera button called visual intelligence. And let's talk about visual intelligence for just a moment. Many of us have used third-party apps to identify flowers in our garden or works of art. There's tons of these like Picture This or Snap Me or things like that that use your camera to identify things about the world around you. Well, you don't need those third-party apps anymore because visual intelligence does it with a button click. So what I'm going to do is press and hold on the camera button to trigger visual intelligence just like this. And as soon as I do, it sees the plant that I've got on my desk, and look at what it does. It lets me know exactly what kind of plant that is. And it's great to be able to identify all of those plants in your garden, but visual intelligence has many more tricks up its sleeve than that. For this example, I'm going to press and hold to open up my visual intelligence tool here and point it at this flyer. Now this flyer has an address down at the bottom. If I simply click my camera button like this, it'll take a picture of this flyer and look at what it does. It gave me the address right here. I can click that address to get a map to that location, or I can add it into my address book or add it to a contact. Whatever information you see when you're doing visual intelligence can be added to your phone in a number of different ways. But that's not all you can do with visual intelligence. For example, have you ever been in a foreign country and you see a sign and you don't know what it means? No need to reach for Google Translate or Google Lens. Press and hold that camera button to trigger visual intelligence, point it at the sign, and then click the camera button again, just like that. It'll scan that image, and if you click the Translate button, it will translate that sign into perfect English with just a couple of clicks. But there's even more that you can use visual intelligence for, like maybe you want to identify a specific animal. No problem, press and hold that camera button to engage visual intelligence, point it at the animal, and right below it'll tell you what kind of animal it is. Pressing on that will give you additional information about that kind of animal, about that kind of plant, or even about that artwork. Visual intelligence works in so many different ways that I can't wait to see how you use it. Here's one of my favorite ways to use it. Occasionally, I'll come across a book in a bookstore that I want to read, but I want to learn a little bit more about it before I actually read it. Rather than adding it to my Amazon list or buying it right there, I'll press and hold on my camera button to engage visual intelligence, snap a picture of the book, and click where it says Ask in the lower left corner. When you do that, it connects to ChatGPT, who looks at the picture and gets some basic information about what you're looking at. Here it says that Tiny Habits explores how making small incremental changes can lead to significant personal transformation. Let's find out a little bit more. I'm going to come to the Ask About Details section, And I'm going to use the dictation button by clicking on the microphone here. What are the top 3 lessons this book discusses? And right here, it gives me clear, concise answers, making it easy for me to know if this is the next book I should read or if I should find a different book. You can use visual intelligence to give you information about the book you're reading, a movie you want to see, or the shirt that you're wearing. You can use it for anything. In addition to using the ChatGPT functionality, you can also use the search functionality on the bottom right side. That's going to take that image and look it up on Google, on eBay, on Pinterest, or Etsy, or other websites as they become available. This allows you to go right here and buy this book. And you can use visual intelligence in so many creative ways. For example, if you like the shirt that I'm wearing, I'm going to take my phone, point it at my shirt, press and hold on the camera button to engage visual intelligence, and then take a quick picture of the shirt just like that. Now I can come into the search section here, and Google will show me exactly where to buy this shirt without having to look it up anywhere else. This is the exact shirt that I'm wearing right now. And here it is, and it's even on sale. The camera button is a phenomenal tool, making it easier for you to get into the camera, take pictures, shoot videos, adjust your camera, or learn about the world around you. So that's what I've got for today's video, all about how to master the camera button on the iPhone 16 and iPhone 17. If you haven't done it yet, hit this QR code or jump over into the descriptions to download your free smart guide that'll walk you through everything we learned today. I hope you learned a ton in today's video, but there's always something new around the corner. If you'd like to learn even more about your Apple products, check out this video. I'm Dylan Stewart, the Mac Whisperer, and I'll see you in the comments.